What is good, clutter people, and welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Bobbalam, retiring from YouTube after I made all this goddamn money. I can cash out from Google and go move to like a cardboard box in southern Mexico and be asking for change on a daily basis. What a life. But in related news, in today's video we're going to be talking about Lil Uzi Vert possibly doing this, retiring from the rap game after he tweeted something very suspicious 2 days ago that caused a huge controversy and Uzi fans freaking out in general, honestly. So without further ado, Lil Uzi Vert retiring. Let's talk about it. Okay, so before we get into everything, I just want to make sure y'all know that he may be capping, but there's a lot of possibilities, including that he actually is for real and that he just does not want to rap anymore. So to get into the story, before his Twitter rampage that we actually went over in yesterday's video, talking about dropping another collab tape with Future, possibly dropping this upcoming Friday on the same day as Rich the Kid, because y'all know the business behind that. But before all this, he tweeted, "I'm dropping 2 more albums, then I'm out," causing a massive wave of depression in the Uzi fandom. Like, we knew Uzi was flooding 2020 with music, but we didn't know that tidal wave is going to completely destroy the rap game, literally. And we're not talking about in a good way. But as we spoke about only moments ago, is that him saying this doesn't necessarily mean he's retiring after 2 more albums, although it very well might. But there's a lot of possibilities as to what this could mean. The first questions that come to my mind is, does he mean 2 projects for the rest of the year in 2020? Since again, he been flooding the market. He almost like NBA Youngboy out here. Or is he talking about his entire career? To help answer these questions, well, it's already November, so it's likely not just this year, unless Uzi's secretly like fucking Santa's main elf and dropping a Christmas album. And it kind of would make sense because dude's like 5'4", so you know, he could be an elf low-key. We just gotta check his ears next time he do a cover art. Maybe that's why lately he ain't even been in his cover arts. It's either been a drawing or blurred like the Pluto baby Pluto, or Eternal Take where it's just a bunch of purple bitches staring at Earth getting, you know, anal probed. But regarding the career question, he is currently 26 and he always said that everybody who's above 25 is an old head, so maybe he wants to retire before actually falling off, because he's probably already seeing all of the hate for his music. And once you get to a certain level like Drake, Travis Scott, Trippie Redd, Juice WRLD, there's always going to be hella haters saying you're overrated. Even a lot of Uzi fans are turning on him because people aren't liking the baby Pluto, because whether he likes it or not, a lot of his fans were created from the 2016 to 2017 era of like Love Is Rage, which dropped actually in 2015, but Lil Uzi Vert vs. the World up until Love Is Rage 2, with EXO Tour Life being his pinnacle as his biggest hit and highest charting song. But as with many rappers in the game, it's always sad to see like your favorite rapper just go down a hole of making trash music after a while, when you can clearly see that they're just past their prime. And maybe Uzi sees in the future, like very recently, that, you know, he doesn't even want to be considered to be falling off, so he's just gonna get out before all that happens. And it's not even about skill at this point, it's about the perception of the fans, because after you get a little bit older, like the rap game is a young man's sport. Like, people are rapping and blowing up at like the age of 16 nowadays. Like, look at Lil Pump, and then they fallen off like 2 years later. So it's even a miracle that Uzi got in the game around like 20 years old, actually 21, and he's still in it at 26. And something else to note is that back in the day, he did in fact say he was leaving Earth at 27 with Marilyn Manson, who was his role model and idol. So by those standards, at 27 and his birthday is July 31st, he really only got like 7-8 more months left on this planet, and then he'll be scooped up by the fucking cult leaders of Heaven's Gate and whatnot. But obviously this is all metaphorical, it's not actually happening, but it does support the hypothesis of his retirement after 2 more projects, like he said in his tweet, wherein, if we recall from the recent information, he confirmed that he's dropping another Future collab tape called The Plutos. Likely, that's just a theory. But after that, if he drops this tape this year, we only got 1 to go, and that would mean that it's probably coming next year, and then he's out. So it looks like he predicted his whole career from the very beginning, honestly. And speaking of the devil, get it, devil? Uzi. Uzi actually gave us a little update on the whole situation with the age of 27, in which he tweeted just moments ago, "I let this go for so long. I never said I was gonna die. Don't you know, leave this earth is a term for taking DMT. I thought I was gonna really be one of those high-ass dudes at 27. Say no to drugs," in response to a fan telling Lil Uzi Vert, "You better not die at age 27," and quoting the exact clips where he said he was gone at 27 with Marilyn Manson. But I guess Uzi was just talking about drugs. He never said he was gonna die. By the way, DMT is like the chemical in your brain that when you die, it like goes off, and that's why people say you see your whole life in a flash instant, because that chemical floods your brain and you just get high as shit before you pass away, essentially. But what's significant about this new evidence is that he's not gonna die at 27. I know we already knew that kinda, but just for the fans who were a bit concerned over Lil Uzi Vert's, mental health or whatever satanic ritual was taking over his life, it's not actually happening, okay? But then he continues saying, "Read this please and it will make total sense. Leave planet Earth." Then he quotes a simulation theory quote, which is absolute nonsense. I'm not saying the simulation theory is nonsense, but I hate when all these excerpts sometimes just try and make everything seem so complicated. Just say it with your chest, you know what I'm saying? But just read the last sentence. It says, "Then the probability is much higher that we're living in a simulated universe," which we very well might be. But what does this have to do with the DMT tweet? He told us in the tweet that it would all make sense after we read that, and I'm even more confused than before. And while I'm recording this, Uzi continues on his Twitter rampage, so I'm probably gonna miss some while I'm editing this video, but he continues and says, "I thought I would be able to handle DMT at 27, like it's kind of close to 30, but 30 is gross," which supports the fact that he thinks people above age 25 or even 27 or 30 years old is for old heads. Basically, fuck you if you're 30 years old. Nah, I'm joking. We all gonna be there. And lastly, Uzi says, "That's why I never said anything. You guys thought the most, and it was only about drugs this whole time. Say no to drugs." So Uzi really does not like drugs. Could be because he was addicted to Xanax at one point in time, as he's been quoted in many lyrics of his old songs. And maybe getting past that is why he's on his Baby Pluto shit on the hype gangsta rap. Cause I don't know about y'all, but if I was high off those Xannies, I could not rap that fast. But as a true Uzi fan, I don't want to accept any of this. I don't think Uzi's actually retiring, because no rapper actually retires. They just, take extended breaks or leave indefinitely and then come back all of a sudden like Jay-Z and drop like a woke album talking about how they're married and have 3 kids and how they used to be shooting people up in the streets, and now they just shooting their kids up with the new coronavirus vaccine. But some actual plausible possibilities as to what Uzi actually meant in his tweet is that he could be out of his label contract after 2 more albums, and then he's solo. He can start his own label, or he can drop independently, and then he can make the real bag, because right now Generation Now and Atlantic are probably taking like 70% of his earnings from streams, and he can't really perform because news alert, coronavirus. And that's where artists in 360 deals, which is standard, make all their money, as we know with all the Playboi Carti situation where he's not dropping a whole lot of red because he can't perform. But with this next future collab tape, that would sum up to 8 projects that Lil Uzi Vert has dropped under Generation Now, potentially the last 5 being technically albums, whereas the ones before were technically mixtapes, so they don't count under contract. Now, this is not confirmed at all. I'm just kind of speculating here, but after these 8 projects or 5 albums, he could be out of the deal. And how cool would it be if Lil Uzi was a label head, giving all of his under artists hella features so that they can put on their projects, and he can just be a boss man with Pluto Records or some shit. But relatedly, he could just be talking about taking an indefinite break from music, as we discussed before with rappers retiring. Like the last 5 years, he's probably been in the studio like every day and night. Like he's exhausted. He just needs to regain motivation and inspiration for the next phase of life / Lil Uzi Vert. At this point, he's kind of an OG, only at the age of 26. So potentially he just wants to keep his quality super high. Something else that a lot of Uzi fans have been saying is that it could just be Baby Pluto talking. Very recently, Uzi's been saying he's going back to the old sound and agreeing with fans that he'll go back to the Uzi. And Baby Pluto is really just the eternal Take Uzi, the more street rapper. So after these 2 more projects, he could be going back to the old Lil Uzi Vert, maybe saying that the OG fans aren't really messing with it as much as they did with like the old melodies, or maybe he's just gonna create a completely new alter ego, because as we've discussed a lot on this channel, it might be super hard for him to actually actually go backwards in his career when that was like one of the earliest phases of his sound. But lastly, as I hinted at the very beginning of the video, this could all just be complete cap. I mean, let's be real, Uzi and Future just dropped their collab tape like last Friday, and then he stirred up the controversy on Twitter by saying he might be retiring, which could incite a lot of fans to go stream the album or a lot of his music just to boost up the sales. I mean, I just dropped a video on the second channel saying how Uzi and Future are expected to sell 110k plus first week, up to even 120k. So maybe with the fans going extra hard for Uzi, considering he might be retiring very soon, or at least they think he is, then that'll get boosted up to like 150k, because that would be some legend status for a collab tape. And this is supported by the fact that only minutes later Lil Uzi Vert actually deleted these tweets. So what I'm thinking is he knew the fan base would freak out, and maybe even people who didn't listen to the Uzi Future mixtape and aren't really fans of either of the artists would check it out just because they knew Uzi was retiring. But whatever possibility is correct, it might be something completely different. Maybe Uzi is just tired of rapping and he wants to live a life without people asking him when Eternal Take is dropping, or when are you dropping 1629 with Cardi. He can just go fly to the Bahamas and be booling on the beach for a bit, drinking some margaritas, eating the hearts of, you know, baby squirrels or whatever Uzi does to maintain his powers. Hopefully in a couple years I can be on the same shit. So with that, it's your boy Bobbalam signing off, possibly retiring from being an Uzi YouTuber, because if he's gone, then I guess I just can't talk about him anymore. But don't worry, we got other artists on deck. No matter which artists blow up and which artists retire, it's just a cycle, you know what I'm saying? But let me know in the comments if you think Uzi was actually serious in saying he's retiring or he's out after 2 projects. Make sure to like and subscribe while you're at it for the latest hip-hop news, drama, and analysis videos, as well as to follow me on all my socials in the description and join the Bob Gang if you with it. Peace out, cutter people. Know what I'm saying?